kind of scary. But in that moment, I kind of like, okay, like probably a fight, you know, just a fight. Maybe some bottles getting smashed, nothing too crazy. And so he continues to walk in, and I guess the people that he was looking for, again, another person that I knew, came out, and it literally became a gun battle, a gun fight in the middle of a hallway of a nightclub. And so I was standing by the door of the entryway, and I was leaning on the glass door. It's 2 glass doors, really big glass doors. They're very thick. And I was sitting there, like I was standing there talking with someone, just having a conversation. And then, you know, seconds later, you hear bullets, you hear gunshots. And from all that I can remember in that moment, and it's so crazy because I don't remember much in that time, but what I do remember was so clear. It was so vivid. Like I can't erase it from my memories. So what had happened was the bullet actually went through the door that I was leaning on. The other door was completely fine. And when I think about it, man, that was like more than half of my body leaning in front of that door. Like I could only imagine how far away that bullet just missed. Like just missed me. Oh, thank you, Lord. You don't say like God is above death. Like you can taste death and it can't take you out. Anyhow, so when the bullet went through the door, I literally watched this door shatter in slow motion. Like I could see the top part of the glass slowly breaking into pieces. It looked like a waterfall, like a rushing waterfall of glass. And the bottom of the door was still solid. Like, and I watched it shatter from the top all the way to the bottom. And as I watched it, I remember once it hit the bottom, that it was beautiful for some reason. I was looking at something that was beautiful. I was in awe. I was like, wow, what is this? Like I was gone. Like I wasn't in that situation because I shouldn't. I'm the first person to run. If something pops off, fam, don't look for me. Don't try to find me. I'm gone, bro. I will see you tomorrow. I'll wait for you around the corner or somewhere. Like I'm not someone that is gonna stand around in a situation and not know what to do. That's just not me. So I was standing there, and when I came back to reality of like after what had happened, I was looking around me. People are on the floor. People are running, screaming. Half of the people were already out of the building. I was still standing in that same position. And so I remember like running across the street, trying to find my friend, because now I was like, okay, I'm back to reality. Let me get out of this scenario, this situation. Let me observe from across the street. So I went across the street and I found my friend. Or actually at first I couldn't find my friend. So I went to call, and I had blood. My whole hand was covered in blood, and I was like, dang, I'm shot. And it's like in the moment, like you have so many like adrenaline rush flowing through you. Like I didn't feel nothing. I couldn't feel pain. I just saw my whole hand full of blood. And I was like, oh my God, like, yo, bro, like, got me. Like, I'm shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even in the game. I don't even push like that. I ain't even selling nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just affiliated. I know people, you know? So then I found my friend, and I started to, you know, head to the hospital. Thankfully, after all that I experienced, the only thing that I really actually walked away with was this scar. I don't know if you can see it because it's probably out of focus, but I have this. But when it first happened, you could see my flesh. I could see white, pure, very white inside. I had to get about 8 stitches in my wrist, and I couldn't do much because I'm right-handed, so I had to chill out for a while. I couldn't cut vegetables and like cook for my child. Like it was such a wake-up call for me. I think above all things though was like, once again, let me go back to, I grew up religious in religion. I hated God because I said, God, I will never please you. I can never actually please you, Lord. Like I'm done trying. I don't care. And I lived so many years in that lifestyle of just being rebellious, not caring about whatever type of darkness I was in, and just, if anything, indulging and wanting it more, because I was like, I'm not even gonna pretend or try to please anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do whatever my heart desires. Like literally, like that's it. Like if I just want to, you know what I'm saying, get with a nigga, then I'll just get with a nigga. Like I don't want no relationship. If I want a relationship, I'll go for, like, you know what I'm saying, like whatever. And our heart is like, man, our heart is constantly changing. Our heart is constantly lying sometimes to us, and a lot of emotions are involved and not logic. So I was living everything emotional based and nothing logic. And so when this incident happened to me, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, God, why did you let me live? Why? Like literally, I couldn't understand it, because I used to look at the sky and like curse God. Like I look and be like, I hate you, God, and just cuss him out and say all these like crazy things, you know. And then here I am, you know, he saved me. He gave me a chance to live, and I just couldn't understand like why. I really couldn't understand why he would do it. And so what ended up happening is kind of funny. So after that, I was like, first of all, people that I thought cared about me, people that I know, people that, you know, say like, hey man, we love you, all that fake love, like that's a lie, because people that I thought would, you know, would have my back, people are the ones that are out there shooting right around me, like not even, I would be at least like, let me know if you really cared, like tell me to get out of the area. But it's when you come to that lifestyle, it doesn't matter who's involved. It's not about you anymore. It's about whatever they have in between them, and it doesn't matter who gets hurt. And so so I was really kind of like, hey, I'm done with this lifestyle. I'm done going out. I'm done being around people that just don't care about their lives. But then I met a friend of mine who we used to hang out and party and go out. And I met her somewhere randomly, of course, right? Of course, randomly. But I met her, and she was just telling me how she stopped going out and all of that. And she's like, I start going to church. You want to come to church? And I was just like, church. I was like, not ready for all that. I'm not ready for church. Like, yeah, I'm in a place right now where I'm saying, God, why did you let me live? But I'm not ready to be up in church. Like, it's like, I'm not hungry for God. I just want to know why. I just want to know why, because I don't love him and I don't care about him. So anyway, we kept in touch, and we hung out. We went out for coffee a few times, and finally she's like, you know, just come to church. I was like, you know what, fine. Actually, before she invited me to church, she'd kind of tell me about like different people she was like, you know, like she listened to, and like sermons and stuff. So I would still be at home, and I'd be like checking stuff out. I was like, well, I ain't going out no more, so let me just sit at home. And like got onto like YouTube, and like I'd search, you know, sermons and teachings. Like I didn't really know what I was looking for, but like I think sometimes she'd mention a few preachers' names and stuff, so it kind of stuck with me, and then I would search it later on. And it's just like funny, I remember I'd roll up my weed, you know, smoke a spliff, and just watch, and it was just like, what is this? Like this this Jesus that I was hearing about was like really different than what I had experienced in my life. But then finally she invited me, you know, she wasn't pushy, but she was like, come to church. I was like, eventually I was like, fine, let me check out this church. You all about this church, girl, let me check it out. So we go, and I remember just the teaching, it was crazy, because it was just like, I had never ever heard the gospel that way. I'd never heard in that sense of like, man, there's nothing that I could do to earn God's love. Like he freely gave it to me. There was not even a chance, like nothing that I could bring to the table that would bring God's love. It was completely by his own choice that he chose to love me, and he chose to, you know, send Jesus to die. You know, Jesus is a man who, you know, who's from God. Like he is God, you know, he is our Father. Like the word of God says, you know, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, you know. And so a God that we think is up in this heaven, far, far away from us, who sits on a throne, who created the heavens and earth, created everything, literally humbled himself to come onto earth. Not only just show up in like, you know, a UFO or something like that. He came like the same way we all come. he came in a woman's stomach, and was, you know, lived a life of going through, you know, stages of life that we all go through, and yet still, you know, chose to willingly die for us on that cross, knowing that that I could never do enough to get his glory, like never do enough to get his love. I could never do enough to receive my salvation, to receive freedom, to receive the love of God. And it's just, I don't know how to, his love is like, it's just, I have no words to explain it. It's hard to explain it, but it's like, when I finally had this experience with Jesus, it was an altar call one day, and I'm like, I'm not doing no altar call. Like, I grew up in, you know, Catholic. I'm gonna stand right here, God. You gonna touch me right here. I ain't going nowhere. But it was like this tugging feeling on my heart. Like, just, it's like something is going on in the inside of you, but you don't really understand it. You don't get it. It doesn't really make sense. And I remember he was just tugging me, so I'm like, fine, I'm gonna go to the front. Like, but I can't take this feeling, it's so heavy. And when I went to do this altar call and giving my life to God, I never cried like that in my life. I've never ever cried that hard in my life. I was just bawling, like boogers coming down my nose. Like, I've been through a lot of things, and you know, to that point, like, I've had enough things to cry about, but not that kind of cry. It was like a screaming cry, like it's like a cry of freedom, like something, I was free from something. And I remember going home and just remembering, like, I saw my wickedness, I saw my evilness, I saw all the darkness that I entertained, that I was about, that I enjoyed, that I influenced others. And I saw him and his perfect love, and that I just see no anger, no wrath. I saw his son who took it all for me. Literally took every burden. He took every anger that God had towards sin and carried it and endured it. And it was just like, I don't deserve this love. I really don't. I feel like I'm not even telling you a good enough, like, explanation of the way I feel. Like, but I was just like, man, I am the least of anybody to forget about desire, even deserve the love of God. And so when he just poured his love on me, like, it was a tangible feeling. It was like I would just get shivers and goosebumps throughout my whole body, and just like, and all of a sudden I just feel a rush of crying, of joy, of laughter, of pain. Like, it's so good. And like I mean, I have so many other testimonies. Like, it's hard to really summarize these things in like short YouTube clips, but that was kind of the moment where I was like, man, I remember I was a pothead, so you always have weed as a pothead. And I remember taking my weed and I flushed it down the toilet, and I was like so angry that I was deceived all this time. Like, I felt like, you know, like I've been lied to. And so that kind of began my journey of walking with Christ and meeting Christ, originally and for myself, an individual experience, not something that was this just story, but this story became personal to me and my story. So yeah, God is powerful, man. And Jesus, I believe he wants to reveal himself to so many of us. He wants to heal us. He wants to strengthen us. He wants to just love us. And he already does, even if you don't feel it, even if you don't see it, even if you don't believe it. His love is never ending. It never stops, because it's who he is. He is love. He is the definition of love. But yeah, that was part of my testimony. There's other testimonies that I have, you know, experienced, and fortunately they seem to be this near-death experience of almost losing my life. But I know that, you know, that I can never, you know, save myself from dying. Nobody can, but God has given me a reason to live. And so I just want to share my story with y'all, and if this just touches one person, that's all that matters to me. I don't care how this perceives or other people look at towards this. This is my experience, and I cannot sit here and deny God. I just can't. I really can't. But yeah, stay tuned. Much love, y'all. Love y'all, and be blessed.